Hello to Wallaton. It is time for another edition of Kitchen Science, where I get to combine two of my favorite things, my kitchen and science. So let's do it. Today, we are going to make our own homemade lava lamps. Yeah, pretty cool. It's basically like lava inside of a lamp, and it's going to be awesome. Let me tell you what you need. All right, to make your very own lava lamp, you will need a few things, some basic things. You're going to need a jar or a 1 liter bottle. So it can be either way, whatever works for you. I happen to have had a jar, so I'll show you that. There's the size of my jar. I've already got it filled with stuff, and unfortunately, I can't refill it with stuff because I ran out of oil as I was doing this, which is an ingredient that you will need. Here is my empty container of vegetable oil. So it's going to take about a cup and a half. This is, again, I like these kind of experiments where it isn't about specificity and perfection. So you're going to put in about a cup of water, and then you're going to put in about a cup and a half of oil. Now, that's a little wasteful. I hate wasting stuff, so it kind of bums me out. It's the one thing I don't like about this experiment because I love my kitchen, I love cooking, and I love oil. But, sometimes for the sake of science, you have to make some sacrifices, so I have sacrificed about a cup and a half of oil. Now, you will also need some effervescent tablets, otherwise known as Alka-Seltzer. So anything really bubbly. I have actually the Alka-Seltzer cold tablets, but you could use straight up Alka-Seltzer, whatever works for you. Now, this is critical. You will definitely need food coloring. For this to actually look cool, you're going to need food coloring. Sometimes it's optional, but this time, definitely bust out your food coloring. It won't be too messy, I promise. Let's do this thing. Okay, so first, as I already revealed, you're going to put water and you're going to put oil into your jar or your bottle. So first you put your water in, you're going to put about a cup in, then you're going to pour your oil in. You may want to pour it in carefully because you don't want to really mix the two things up. But the reality is if you just let it set, you can pour it in however you want if you don't mind walking away from it for a while. So pour your oil in and then let it become two separate entities. So you have your oil on top and your water on the bottom. And I'll explain that once we get to the time for some science part. So this is what you want. Then the next thing you're going to do is add your food coloring. So this is going to be one of the fun bits. There's a few stages of fun in this, and adding the food coloring, I think, is super fun because what you do is you add your food coloring, about 10 drops maybe, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a couple extra drops in there. You'll see the food coloring will just straight up drop right through the oil, and then it ends up on the bottom there, right? So you're going to get your food coloring, so you got your water down there looking all beautiful, looking all whatever color you chose, blue, red, green, whatever it happens to be. All right, it took me a few seconds to get it mixed up, but I kind of gently coerced it into becoming a nice blue solution here. So here we've got our oil, our water, the food dye fell through, and so now the water is a beautiful color, and now we get to add the super fun part. So the food coloring is pretty fun, right? I mean, it was fun to watch it come to drop through and then to watch it kind of start to get its tendrils out into the water. Now, let's take our Alka-Seltzer tab. See what happens. I'm going to break it in half, and I'm just going to put a half a tab in there, and let's see what happens. Look at how beautiful that is. And now you see the blue water is coming up into the oil. Making my own little personal lava lamp. Pretty cool, right? Now, one of my favorite things about this is that, you get this really cool reaction as you're dissolving your Alka-Seltzer tab. But you can keep doing this. And I mean, if you enjoy this, or if your little people enjoy this, you can keep this jar, keep this bottle, just like it is with your oil and your water. So, you may have used a cup and a half of oil, but this is an experiment that will keep on giving. So Look at that. There was a big chunk, and now a chunk's dropping back down. So we got bubbles coming up, and we got chunks dropping down. Look at that. Why is that happening? Let's put in more Alka-Seltzer and see what happens. I'm going to get the second half of my cube in there, my tablet in there, and you'll see even more reaction. We got a lava lamp. Look at that. Oh, it's so cool. It's kind of gross, but it's kind of cool. All right. So you can see it's bubbling up and it's bubbles falling down. What do you think is happening here? Should we find out? Let's find out. All right. It's time for some science. It's time for some science. It's time for some science today. Okay. First, we have a few science things we have to talk about, but first, we're going to talk about density. Okay, so density is basically like some things being heavier and some things being lighter. So when you put oil and water in the same container, the water's the blue part, the oil's the not blue part, the oil sits on top of the water. They don't mix together unless you really force it. So the oil, because it's less dense than the water, it sits on top and kind of floats on top of the water. So that's the first part of this. That's why you see these two different layers, because you have a more dense solution and a less dense solution happening. Now, you add the Alka-Seltzer tab, and you're adding a whole nother exciting component to this. The Alka-Seltzer tab goes through the oil and down into the water and starts to do the thing that it does that helps settle our stomach. It's bicarbonate of soda. It's going to create a gas. And that gas is going to create bubbles that are then going to pull some of this water up through the oil, up to the top. They're going to float up to the top, and then the bubbles are going to release the gas, and the water is going to come back down. And that's why you see it going up and down. You see these sort of gaseous bubbles that are pulling the pretty water with them, and then you see the gas escape, and then you see the water come back down. That's how you get a lava lamp at home. So let's do it one last time, just for fun. I opened this already. I might as well go ahead and put the second tab in, right? I'm going to put a whole tab in, and I'm going to go to town. I got myself a flashlight here. So we're going to put our tab in, and we're going to light it up like we have a proper lava lamp going on. It's straight from the 1960s, 1970s. Look at that. Look at all those giant globs of bubbles. Oh, you got to do this one at home. It's worth the cup and a half of oil, definitely. Have fun with science. I will see you in a few weeks.